Hi, hello, namaste. So today we are going to discuss more about the software update point. Okay. So what is the software update point? So we all know that software update point is the site system role that can help manage the complex task of tracking and applying the software updates to the client computers. Okay. So we can say the effective software update point management process is necessary to maintain operational efficiency and to overcome the security issues and maintain the stability of the network infrastructure. Okay. So what is the software update point actually? So it means the Windows patches. Okay. So we need this software update point rule in the SCCM to install the Windows updates on the Windows OS machines. Okay. So this is the main agenda. So here you have the simple example how this SUP works. Okay. So here we have the SCCM server and we configured the SUP, okay, in a dedicated server. Okay. So once the uh, sync happen, okay, the SVP will sync the updates from the Microsoft Cloud and it will keep that in the SCCM server. So once the SCCM server deploys those updates to the uh, this individual machine, okay, SCCM client, so the SVP will inform that SCCM client to install those updates. So here we can have the two ways mainly. So first way, the client can directly download the updates from the Microsoft Cloud. Otherwise, it can fetch from the DP server. Okay. So this is the two ways to download the updates on the individual machine. So we'll configure that option while deploying the Windows updates to the individual machine, whether it needs to download from the Microsoft or download from the DP. So to download from the DP server, we need to distribute the Windows updates to the DP server. Okay. Then only the client can download from the DP server. Okay, fine. So next, scale and size for the software update point. Okay. So generally, the software update point will support 25,000 clients when it is coexists with the other site system role, which means, for example, you have the primary site. Okay. The primary site itself, you install the SUP. So it means in the primary site, we already have some roles. No? Definitely we have some roles, like for example, MP role, or for example, the system service connection points, something. Okay. So if the software update point coexists with any other role, okay, then this software update point will support 25,000 clients only. Okay. That is the main thing. If we have the dedicated server for the SUP, then it will support the 1,50,000 clients. That is the main thing. So we need to consider this thing. So completely it depends on the number of devices you have in your company. Okay. So also we need to consider the hardware configuration. Okay. So for the software update point server, we need at least 8 cores and 16 GB RAM. And the disk space, it's completely based on the number of devices you support. Okay. I mean the number of updates you're going to sync or something. Okay. So this is the scale and size for the software update point. I hope you understand this thing. So next, the software update point installation. So the requirements. So we already know that we need a system installation account as the member of local admin. This is the mandatory. And then we need a .NET framework, okay, the latest one. And also, if possible, we can install the 3.5 as well, because some updates might need, maybe they will need the 3.5. There is a reason we install the 3.5 as well. And the default IIS configuration and the WSS should be installed on the subserver, and then the SQL native client and ODBC driver. Okay. So once you have these requirements, and the main thing, the OS selection. So we all know that 22L2 is not supported right now, it's deprecated. So we can use either 2016 or 2019, or if possible, we can use the 2022. And if you like to install the latest version, you can use the 2025 as well. Okay. So these are the considerations. So why we are mentioning the OS selection here means, so we need a latest version of WSS. Okay. If you select the 2016, this is the version number. and 2012 or 2019, there is a version number. So definitely there is the difference between the WSS version, correct? So that's fine. If you have the latest version, so that will be very good. So next, ports used for the communication. So by default, from the 2012 server, the WSS use the ports 8530 for HTTP and 8531 for the HTTPS. Okay, so you can change if you need. Okay, and for example, we have the 80 and 443 as the default ports, correct? So instead of using these things, the WSS started using these two, 8530 and 8531. So if you want to change these port numbers, if you want to use some other port numbers, for example, if you want to use the port number like 7423 for the HTTP, and then you must use the one number higher for the HTTPS. So for example, 7424. Okay, so this thing you need to consider. So I hope you understand this concept. So next, security best practices for the for update point. So what are the best practices? So the first thing, don't change the default permissions. Okay, default permissions for the software update packages. So by default, that means have the full control and the users have the read-only access. So don't change those default permissions ever. Okay, and then the control access. So we must use the events shared path. Okay, for example, you need to keep one folder for the Windows updates dedicatedly, and you need to use that folder only to download the updates and to distribute some anything. Okay, fine. So next, this is a very important thing. Third point, you need to use the UTC for the evaluating the deployment times. Okay, so you have to use the UTC timing to deploy those software updates. So why? Because so if you deploy the updates in the local time, okay, instead of UTC, the users could potentially delay the installation, okay, by changing the time zone of their computers. I hope you understand. So I hope you understand this concept. For example, if you are in the Indian time zone, okay, and the updates are deployed, so you are working on some other task, so it's a really important task to you, and the updates, you have the notification and the updates are going to deploy today. Okay, and then you can have the option to change the time zone. So if you have, you can change, right? So if you have that option, you can change the time zone to for example, US or UK. Okay, so if you put the US timing instead of India timing, so if you deploy the local timing, for example, 12:30 p.m. Okay, so US time, so definitely you have the 12 hours different, correct? So it will delay the updates on that machine. So to avoid this thing, you need to use the UTC version. Okay, UTC time. So if you use the UTC time, so it won't see the local timing, correct? So definitely it will install on that time exactly. So this is the main thing. I hope you understand this concept. So next, you need to use the enabled SSL. Okay. So it is very good to have the second layer for our WSS server. Okay. So next, log reference. So while installing this SUP or after the installation, so what logs you need to check? So we have the subserver.log. It will record the details about the software breakpoint installation. Okay, and when software breakpoint installation completes, it will return as the success. And then the wcm.log, it will record the software breakpoint configuration and the connections to the WSS server. And WSS control.log, it will record details about the configuration and database connectivity and health of the WSS server. And finally, the important thing, WSync manager. So whenever the sync happens, we need to check this wsync.log, I mean wsync mgr.log, to check whether the synchronization is happening correctly or not. Okay, so if you have any failures when you started the synchronization, it will show on this log only. Okay, based on those error codes, you can start the troubleshooting. So this is the just a brief explanation about the software breakpoint installation. Okay. So if you want to know more about this SUP, you can go for the MCM official documentations. There you can find the many more details about this software breakpoint. Okay. So now we are going to install that software update point in our MCM console. So let's start. So we are in the main primary site. Okay. So I'm going to open the console. So this is the primary site. So definitely we have the WSS installed. Okay. Because it is the requirement where you are installing the primary site. Correct. So obviously we can have the WSS. So we are going for the site configurations. We already completed the requirements. I mean, so this is the primary site, correct? So we're installing the primary site. Definitely you need to install the native client SQL and then the 3.5 and 4.8, whatever the .NET framework is. And also you need to install the ODBC driver as well, the remaining requirements. Okay. So no need to install the requirements again because it is the primary site. We already installed those requirements. So now we can directly configure the SVP role. So right click on the primary site, add site system roles. So definitely we need a site system installation account. Okay. So since it is the primary site, so I'm going to use the computer account. Okay. So next, and the site system role, we need to select the SUP software breakpoint. Next. So these are the default ports. I'm going to use the default ports only. And I'm selecting the required SSL. So because I'm using the SSL certificates, and then so I'm going to use the internet and internet clients for the future as well. So next, so I don't have any proxies. I don't need any WSS connection account as well. So if you have the WSS connection accounts, you can use that account. Okay. So this is up to your company terms. So next, synchronization. The sync, it's a default option. So sync from the Microsoft, right? So if it is the first WSS SUP server, so you need to select this one. Okay, sync from the Microsoft update. So if you're installing this sub as the secondary sub server, then you can use the second option, and we can provide the first sub server. Then it will sync from the upstream server. So since it is the first SVP server, so I'm going to use the sync from the Microsoft update. So and the reporting events, so I'm not using any reporting, so I'm using this one option, the by default option. And for the WSS reporting events, you can use the reportings based on your company norms. So you can use the create only WSS status report events or create all reporting events, okay, whatever it is. So for this lab purpose, I'm not using any reporting events. So I can click next. Synchronization. So enable the synchronization. By default, it will sync on every 7 days. So if you want, you can use the customization. For example, we have the every month second Tuesday is the last Tuesday. So I'm going to sync on the second Wednesday. Okay. So day after the Microsoft release. So click OK. And then next. So super settings rules. Okay. So it's every 6 months by default. Okay. So I'm using the default things only. Next. And WSS maintenance. Okay, so I'm going to decline the expired updates. I don't want any expired updates. Okay, so next, then these are the default timings. So I'm going to use the default timings as well. Next, update files. Okay, so we download the all upload updates only. So classifications. So here we can select the whatever update classifications we require. Okay, for example, the critical updates only or the security updates. Okay, like that. So I'm not going to select any updates here. I mean the classification options. So because we don't know whether Microsoft released the latest update classifications or not, correct? For example, you have the critical updates here. Maybe some classification also added recently. We don't know, right? So we need to have the initial sync first, then only we can have the confirmation. So next, products. So products also. So you can see I'm expanding these products, and for the Windows. So I don't have Windows 11 here. Okay, you can observe this thing. But I need a Windows 11 products. So I'm not going to select any products here because I need Windows 11 only, not any other products. Okay, so definitely we need a initial sync. So languages, we can select the languages, whatever language were supported in your company. So by default, we have the English language. So it's the summary completely. Then next, so it is completed. So we can check the log files. I need to go to the installation path, logs. So have the sub setup. Okay, so it will come. You need to wait. Yeah, here it is, sub setup. Okay, so installation was successfully completed. That's a good sign. No problem. Okay, so we have this sub setup installed. I mean, the SCP is configured successfully. Okay, no issue. Now I'm going to use the initial sync. Okay, so can go to software update, I mean software library and software updates, all software updates. Okay. So before going to start the synchronization from here, so I'd like to have the log file open, wsync mgr, and as well as wsys control. Okay, fine. Then also I'd like to show you one thing from the inboxes. Sync box. Okay, synchronization started. Okay, see, self sync is started. Okay, and it's gone. So it means it's just a fraction of seconds. It is started completely. I mean, successfully it is started. So this is the sub control. So everything is good. There is no errors here. And here you can see the synchronization. Sorry. See. So we need to I mean check for this line. Okay. Wake up by inbox drop. So if you have this line, it means it is successfully triggered the SVP synchronization. Okay. So after that, we can get errors or not. It completely depends on the how you configure the subserver. So from console, and if you click from the console, this should available here. Okay, wake up by inbox drop. So sync is started, and it is starting the sync in the categories. Okay, so need to wait. It will take some time. So the sync is successfully completed. So we have these 416 categories. Okay, so now we can check on the console. So we need to go to the admin tab, sites, and the components. Okay, the SVP. So here I selected the critical updates and security updates and the products. So already mentioned. So I will select the Windows 11 only. So here I selected the Windows 11 only. Okay. So and then so I started this synchronization from the software library again to get the actual Windows updates. So here you can have the log file. So the sync is started by the inbox drop, and we are waiting for the synchronization. Okay. So we need to wait. So to get the actual updates. So here it's showing 407. Okay. Categories are completely synced, and it needs to sync the updates now. So let's wait for the synchronization. So once it is successfully completed, we can have the updates and we will deploy the updates to the Windows 11 computers. Okay. So now the synchronization is completed. So you can see we have the 546 items. Okay. So all are synced. So and 428 categories. So here we have Windows 11 community updates because we selected the critical updates and the security updates only. That's why I have the community update here. So completely it's synced from 2022 May. Okay, so shall completely like a 3 years before, starting from 2022 May. So it synced all community updates, the Windows 11. Okay, all versions. So after that, so it will remove the superseded and expired updates. Okay, so the console we have only a few updates only. Okay, so everything is completed. So let's check in the console. So here we have the console. So here you can see the important updates only available here. Okay, so completely 73 items. So here you have 2025 January updates. Okay, and December updates, and October and September updates as well, the previous year 2024. Okay, so we have since July. Okay, fine. So 2024 uh, since July, it means like 6 months. Okay, so the console keeping 6 months updates, okay, available in the console, even though those are superseded, but the console will keep those at least 6 months updates. So why? Because so if your device, for example, some device required the previous updates as well, okay, to update the latest version. So in that case, we'll deploy the all available updates, okay, to the device. So then the device will select whatever the updates the device need, it will install those updates. Okay. For example, a device needed the August update from the last year. So if you provided this 2024-08 community update, so the device will install this update, right? So that is the reason the console will keep the 6 months updates. Okay. So right now we have the January updates. Okay. So I'm going to create a software update group, and then I'm going to deploy to the those 11 devices. Okay, so fine. I just need a .NET framework. So it lists. So I have the 23H2 versions. So I'm selecting .NET for 23H2, and this one community update for 23H2. Okay, so two updates. Right click, create a software update group, and naming it as W11 Jan 25. Create. So we can check it here. Software update groups. Here we have this SVP group. So we call it as SUG in short form. Okay, short for update group. Now I am not going to distribute to any other DPs. So if you want to distribute, you can directly right click and then you can download these things. And after you provided the UNC path, so already discussed in the theoretical PPT. So we need to provide the UNC path only to download the updates. So we can provide the UNC path, we can have the name, and then we can provide the UNC path. Here we have the example like the UNC folder path. So after we provided this thing, we need to select the distribution point initially, what distribution point you need to distribute. Okay, and then the settings, then download location will directly download from the Microsoft Update. So fine. Now I'm not going to download this thing, so I'm directly going to deploy. So deploy. So I'm going to rename it as John W11 channel 25, and the collection, our Windows 11 collection here. Okay, next, it is required. Next, so I'm going to provide it as soon as possible. So otherwise, we can have the UTC timing. For example, we have the time right now it's at 12:48 p.m. So you can deploy by using the UTC time. So for example, if you are in some other location, so you need to select the UTC as the UTC equivalent time. Okay. So for example, I'll show you here in the just a moment. So you can select UTC to sorry UTC to IST, for example. See, So UTC to IST means, for example, if you want to deploy software updates in the uh, India, okay. So for example, at 2 p.m. UTC time is 8:30 a.m. Correct. So you need to select the UTC 8:30 a.m. Okay. So like that, we can select here UTC time. So I can select here 8:30. So AM, correct. So AM. So deadline also. So I can select deadline time. For example, you can provide some time. For example, like a 3 days or 7 days. Okay. So you are providing time to install the updates to the device. So if the deadline reach, it will install automatically. Okay. It will force the installation. So I'm going to provide the deadline as the 5 days. 5 days till 12 p.m. Okay. So next, generally we'll hide the notifications. So if you want, you can display the notifications as well. So the user can know the updates are available. Okay. So for updates, next, no alerts and no development package. Download settings, we can download from the boundaries. Then next. So this is the summary. Next. So it is deployed. Okay. So the updates are deployed. So what we need to do is we need to refresh the policies. We need to right click the collection and client notification, download computer policy, then the software update. Okay, evaluate software update deployments. That's it. So once the policies are synced in the device will download the software updates. Okay, fine. So this is the complete brief details about the software update point installation and the deployment and synchronization as well. Okay. So hope you understand the complete concept about the software update point. Okay. So we'll see you in next video. Until then, have a great day.